The compressor is one of the most commonly used tools in audio signal manipulation, music production, and audio engineering generally. It has unique parameters and very specific functions. But one of the things that many engineers struggle with is the ability to hear what exactly the compressor is doing and how it is doing it. Today, I'm going to be sharing some tips on hearing compression, and that's what's coming up. Hey, I'm Akurios and you're welcome to this video. This Friday, we're talking about music production, audio engineering, and I'm sharing some tips on the compressor. We've dealt with the compressor on this channel several times. I've showed you one or two things on how to use a compressor for different purposes. But today, I'm going to be sharing some things on how to hear what the compressor is doing. Now, with this last example, I'm going to be showing you how the compressor affects this particular piano sound, and I'm using a different compressor this time around. I'm using the Waves Fairchild, which is an emulation of the Fairchild 670 compressor, a powerful legend of a compressor, and that's what we have here. I'm going to show you how, of course, the transient can be affected, mellowing the sound of the piano, bringing up the tail of all the notes, the individual notes, and all that. But I'm also trying to show you different types of compressors and how they interact with different types of signals so that you can practice that on your own. Okay, so here I just linked both channels so that, you know, I can just have exactly the same settings on the left and the right for this particular purpose. Okay, that's why I set it at linked right here. Okay, so first of all, we have the input, that's the input gain, just like the 1176 determines how much compression is, or how much of the signal, sorry, is coming into the compressor, and ultimately determines how much is going to be compressed, or how hard the compressor is going to work. Okay, and this is the threshold. So when it's down to 0, that means we're not compressing anything. There's no limit on the signal. We're letting everything that is coming in go out. Okay. But when we decide to increase the threshold, we're determining the limit that we want to set for the signal. And this is the time constant, which refers to a combination of two things. As seen in other compressors, the attack and the release, how fast the compressor works, how fast the compressor attacks the signal, how fast the compressor releases the signal. That's what this represents. And then finally, we have the output, which determines how much of the signal goes out of the compressor. All right, so if we engage this compressor right now and listen, bypass. Okay, so first of all, I'm just letting in about this much, so it's almost at 0, so that if we turn down the threshold completely, time constant at 1, and we reset this, we're going to have this much compression going on, 0. So there's no compression going on with the default settings. So when I decide to begin to engage the threshold, so I raise this up maybe to this point, you can hear that there's compression. So there's compression happening right now. And then the time constant, I can play with it. And you can hear that with a higher value of the time constant, the transients of the piano, that's the actual sound of the hammers of the piano hitting the strings, is a little bit louder. So if I want more transient, I can say this time constant can actually, you know, be this high, but I can pull it down a bit if I want to mellow the transients, or set it somewhere, maybe 2 or 3 or thereabout. So this much compression is what I want. And if we listen again, bypass, engaged. So straight away you can hear that there's a volume difference, and for that volume difference we have to do something so that we don't fool ourselves that we're actually doing something to the original signal. So we have to boost the compressed signal to match the original signal so that you can hear clearly if there's a difference between uncompressed and compressed. So let's boost it till it's the same. Thereabout. So what we have is the transients melody bit, and then the tail of the piano, the body of the piano comes up a bit. And you can even go ahead to increase the volume some more so that you can have a fuller sound. It all depends on what you want to achieve. It all depends on what you're aiming for, what the song calls for. So using a compressor involves you being able to use it as a tool that is helping you achieve what you want for your music. And also with a stereo compressor like this, we can decide to unlink both channels and treat both channels differently so that we can have some stereo effect. We can even change the panning of the piano like this, and I'll show you. You can see that as I play with the input gain and the threshold, the stereo image of the piano is moving because I'm treating both the left and the right channels differently. So if I decide to bring in more of the left channel into the compressor, of course, the left channel is going to be louder. And if I decide to do that to the right channel, it's going to be louder, and vice versa. And also the threshold, how much compression is going to happen to which channel, also can be manipulated with this type of compressor. So if that was helpful, tap the like button, give me a thumbs up right there, and that would be amazing. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe right now and tap the notification bell so that you're notified when there's new content on this channel. Until when next we see, I'm Akurios and I'm out.